Signature TV, news in your pocket.
So there have been a video going viral recently, and it's been all over the place. We're going to look into that. Francis Fadosi, senator representing the Osun East Senatorial District, in a video that has now gone viral, was seen asking the supporters to kill members of the Cold Party ahead of the state's August 15 governorship election. In a video shared on X on Tuesday by David Adeleke Davido, the Afrobeat singer, the All Progressives Congress APC senator who spoke in Yoruba asked supporters to lynch members of their Cold Party. Let's take a look.
tí a bá tún búrò akọ́ọ̀dù kankan nílé Zambia. Ìbò tá a máa dì í, ìbò ilé ẹ̀rìkọ́ọ̀dù mi ò kẹlẹ́ sọ́ọ̀tì níbi à. Ìgbà tá a sọ, a ní fìlà burúkú dáńdé, fìlà yẹ́lò fìlà gẹ́ńdìsì, fìlà ẹranko, ẹranko ló pààyàn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Èló ló ti rí tí APC pa. Abẹ́yìn ẹ̀yìn kọ́ ní gbogbo àwọn tó ń pa yìí. So àti dé àti wá sọ fún yín. Títí dọjọ́ ìbò tí a bá rí wọn, ó pa ni o. Àwọn ìbò máa wò.
Reacting to the viral clip, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has called for the immediate arrest of Senator Francis Fadosi over an alleged call for the killing of Accord Party members and their families. Adeleke made the call during a press conference ahead of Saturday's governorship election in Osun State. The governor said the viral video showed the senator allegedly ordering the killing of Accord Party leaders and their families. Adeleke also raised concerns over an alleged police directive ordering the arrest of Accord Party leaders in Osun State.
I call you today for a briefing on two major developments on the Osun political landscape. We have credible reports that a police signal has arrived in Osun directing immediate arrest of Accord Party leaders. We also know the directive includes that they should be taken to Abuja immediately and should not be released until Monday. I have spoken to the Inspector General of Police about the reported directive to arrest Accord Party leaders. But I am appealing to him that if this development is, if it is true, it is illegal and present Nigeria as a lawless country. Arresting Accord Party leaders on the eve of an election amount to police helping and assisting the APC Osun to rig the election. I task the Inspector General of Police to issue a statement to assure Nigerians that no order has been given to arrest Accord Party leaders in Osun State. It is illegal and a threat to democracy for Accord Party leaders to be arrested on the eve of an election on trumped-up charges. It is disturbing that we have over 62 Accord Party leaders held in illegal police detention without any charges against them, including one of our party candidates, Alaba Bukwola. This is not democracy. The second issue has to do with the viral video of a service senator, Francis Fadamsi, who today called for the killing of Accord Party leaders and their families. In the video, the senator even threatened that where they cannot get Accord Party leaders, they should kill their wives and children. This is now beyond politics. This is now a national security threat that requires the attention of Mr. President through the Office of the National Security Advisor. I have raised this issue with the Inspector General of Police and demanded for the immediate investigation and arrest of Senator Fadamsi. The Inspector General of Police has confirmed the video and assured of immediate action. We request that the Inspector General of Police should stop the illegal operation of IRT, a team that has been arresting Accord Party leaders across the local government for no just reason. We ask that the police and the DSS immediately arrest Senator Fadamsi for his incitement to genocide against the people of Ijeshaland and Osun State in general. This is to prove to the world that Nigeria is a state governed by the rule of law. We demand that Inspector General of Police enforce due process and fair policing by aborting all anti-people plots against democracy in Osun State. We finally request that the police and other security agencies should act in line with the rule of law and their oath of office before, during, and after this coming election. I thank you all for listening.
Please hold on, please, sir. Just hold on. Please hold on.
Respondent Francis Fadamsi in a press conference stated that he never ordered any political supporter to kill anyone, saying he was misunderstood.
Talks up and down. You come to my house freely. You are here now. Where are the talks? Where are the killer squad? The what they are talking about is a policeman is doing his work. They are terrorizing people there. Many of these other people have been coming here to report them. So we should listen to them because they are all my people. They are called people in Elisha. The PD people in Elisha. They are all my constituents. They are my own. I develop all of them. So if I say they should not listen to them when they come for vote, it doesn't mean that I ask them to kill them. If you kill, what will kill you is there. It's a serious matter when you take life. They are the people taking life. I'm not.
It's barely like 2 days. Today is Wednesday. We have Thursday, Friday, 2 days to the August 15 election, governorship election in Osun State. And it's been a hot one for the state. Different stories, different understanding. And what is more disturbing is when public office holders, people that have supporters that should be careful, with their words and how to go about it. It's not just in this very video. There are a couple of interviews that the senator had granted that he said he never made a statement of such rather, that they were AI generated videos that Davido posted on his platform, that many people are saying that was what he said. And Nigerians are asking the question, AI videos will stay that long and we have such crowd of people, and in Yoruba, people are just saying things. But it is important that you all know that these are tough times. When I mean tough times, insecurity, poverty, the challenges Nigerians are experiencing right now. And one of the things we don't want is to incite anybody to carry out any activities that will cause the life of another person or destroy property, be it an APC, PDP, Labour Party, NDC, whatever political party you're working with. People should be careful with statements that they make. And also what's concerning also is the fact that we had a protest in that same state like yesterday or day before yesterday, where the first lady, the governor's wife, was part of the protesters complaining about, the security personnel being partisan or supporting a particular group and what have you. This also is concerning, and we hope that come 15th August on Saturday, the election will be peaceful, free and fair. God bless Nigeria, and of course, God bless Osun State. Stay with us for more exciting content on Signature Television. My name is Christopher Lily.
New every morning on Signature TV. We open the day for you with needed energy, information, and required vibes to shape your day. From sizzling snippets of stories in various areas of life to intriguing conversations with net worth guests.
When you have people who have no track record becoming your leaders, you have a problem. There's no outstanding graduate when Obi took over from me. I left, in all the accounts of Anambra State, 13.8 billion for him.
Your day cannot be complete without Signature Morning on weekdays and Signature New Day on weekends. There is no better way to start your day except Signature Morning and Signature New Day every day on Signature TV.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Well, let me welcome you to the Abuja Center this morning. I want to thank our colleagues in ENUGU for holding the fort. I'm sure the way my voice is sounding this morning will tell you something is the matter. By the way, are you experiencing the level of cold? I called a colleague yesterday. He said it was not a little cold, that this cold is not good enough for people of our age. I don't know. Maybe a cup of coffee once in a while. Now, from Abuja this Friday morning, we're interrogating a very contentious matter. That's the truth of it. Why should any part of the country put together for themselves an agenda of their own? After all, we are pursuing one single national citizenship. So there should be a Nigerian agenda. But this morning, we are interrogating issues in the Igbo agenda. Issues in the Igbo agenda. Who is more qualified to interrogate that matter with me this morning? And I have as my guest Chief Chekwas Okorie. Chief Chekwas Okorie has a long political history. Founder of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA. He is also the convener of Igbo Agenda Dialogue. Let me, pardon me if you don't understand Igbo, but he is Ojere Igbozi, the man who works to actualize, pass on the message and intent of the Igbo people in Nigeria. Chief Chekwas, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
By the way, where have you been?
I've been around, but I have been my time in partisanship, ABGA, which you rightly mentioned, that I founded. And then after a while, I founded another party when I left ABGA. The United Progressive Party, that one didn't quite fly, and I returned to ABGA, which I said that will be my last bus stop, because the party just never a former founder, so there's no
replacing
the founder, and I needed to be there to provide advice and leadership and direction without necessarily holding any party office. Well, there I began to reflect on Igbo situation in Nigeria, and given to that I am a founding member of Ohaneze and Igbo. I was a young undergraduate in 1976 when I was drafted into what was then called Igbo Forum, led by eminent Igbo people who were top-class, high-profile politicians, civil servants, intelligentsia, and so on. It was a select group. It was not a free-for-all at that time, but I was drafted by my uncle, who was assistant secretary, to run their errands. In other words, I've been running errands for Igbo for about 49 years now. I am 72 going to 73. So at 23, I started running this at every point in time that I meet. The West, the Southwest has had political summit a number of times. The North has had political summit a number of times. Even the South-South. But the Southeast has never had one. And so I consulted a few persons and we came up with the idea of Igbo Agenda Dialogue, which will be developed along the line of the Jewish League, if for those who know what the Jewish League represents to the Jews in the whole world. That's what Igbo Agenda Dialogue is intended to represent. And then on the auspices of that platform, we are going to have a political summit for the first time. So to kickstart it, we then decided there will be need to, because in Igbo we are Republican in nature, you must do wider consultations before you do anything. Even people will remember that even before the late Dimodumegwu Ojukwu, the people general declared Biafra, there was intense consultation of what was then Eastern Nigerian Consultative Assembly.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was the Eastern Nigerian Consultative Assembly that gave the mandate to declare Biafra. So we needed some kind of mandate to proceed in the direction we are thinking, so that it will be seen that we are thinking the way others are thinking. And then it fell on me again to drive it. Without being immodest, some people believe I have earned certain level of credibility that I can be trusted, because these days there's so much mistrust, there's so much suspicion here and there. So we said, let's meet with about 50 people, highly selected, across board, across parties, because this is a non-partisan but political organization, as separate from Ohaneze that is a pan-Igbo socio-cultural organization. So this is not
A replication.
it's not a parallel body to it. It has its own
Clear
focused agenda. And that inaugural meeting will be taking place here in Abuja. But ultimately, the summit itself, that the big Igbo conversation, will take place in ENUGU in January. And thereafter, nothing will be the same again. Igbo people will take their full right, take that which God has already given to them that they have not been able to explore or exploit. So as we go on, I can now give you more details.
Now, Ojebozi, why is it necessary to begin to create an Igbo agenda, begin to a conversation on an Igbo agenda? Now, ask that question because there are political parties whose activities are supposed to encompass interests across the nation. The Southwest interests, when you are getting yourselves together, you must be sure they are protected. The Southeast interest within the party. And if your interest is not protected in a particular party, you have an option. So why do you need to create another platform to converse and agree on an Igbo agenda?
No, you see, this one is not a political party, but its subject matter is political. In other words, it is not partisan. And Igbo people, maybe because of our republican nature, seem to spread themselves thin. They scatter themselves into all manner of parties and all manner of organizations without really being in control of any. I had thought the way you are thinking now, when in 1996 I looked back and saw that no Igbo man from 1923 party politics came into Nigeria, ever initiated the formation of a political party. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the Secretary General and later leader of NCNC. He never formed it. In fact, it was founded by Dr. Herbert Macaulay. And the MPP that our people also embraced was founded by Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim. But the West, outside of the fact that Dr. Macaulay was from the West, Chief Obafemi Awolowo also was from the West and saw the need to have a political party that the West will control its machinery. You don't talk about the North, where Samadu Bello and his colleagues founded the MP, Northern People's Congress. In fact, the name itself is enough to tell you whose interest they are protecting. And Malam Aminu Kanu, a Hausa man, looking at the way the Hausas are being subsumed under the Fulani hegemony, decided they needed a political party of their own and founded the Northern Elements Progressive Union, NEPO. Unlike Chief Taka, J.S. Taka, also looked at the issue of the Middle Belt and founded United Middle Belt Congress, UMBC. All these things happened from taking off from 1923 until 1996. I said, no, we must have our own, even if for no other thing, for political engagement. And that was when the journey to form ABGA started. We tried 2 times and failed. We consistently continued and were resilient. The third one was materialized in 2002 when ABGA was founded. It was celebrated. Igbo people were happy everywhere. In fact, Ohaneze Ndigbo gave me the title of Obatuleni Ndigbo as a result of that accomplishment. You know, so expectations were high. But typical of my people, 2 years after, trouble came up and they invited people from outside to assist them to destroy that platform. But we thank God that in 22 years, thereabout, 23 years, that party has remained alive, but almost like hanging out there in
just a stump of the initial idea.
Yes, because to be in one state, Anambra State, for 23 years is nothing anybody can be proud of. But then on the flip side, it is the second oldest surviving political party in Nigeria after the PDP. So we said, no, man, as I get older, I'm no longer in the position for activism in partisanship. But I'm still strong enough to lead another initiative that will bring all Igbo people, irrespective of party, together. And let me tell you one of the motivations. Igbo people are the most populous ethnic group in Nigeria by far. There's no other ethnic group coming close. And maybe our people don't understand this, because you need to know your strength before you even carry your shoulder high. Igbo people are the second largest ethnic group in any state of Nigeria after the indigenous population. All of the states without exception. Again, studies have proved that Igbo people have minimum of 25% of the voting population of all the any state in Nigeria. And our people have not appreciated the enormous power inherent in that number. Because in the type of democracy we practice here, number and spread are the critical factors that will determine where power goes. So, since we are not organized, there was need to organize ourselves. I used to lament early in the days when I founded the Boysway Cultural Association, those who will remember. Yeah. I used to every day talk about marginalization until I found that shouting about marginalization is even making your detractors happy. Why not take steps to address it? It is said that God helped those who help themselves. But in the case of Igbo, God has already helped us. We are the ones who are not prepared to help ourselves. So, And look at the way it is. Nigeria was founded standing on a tripod of 3 legs. But today, where do we stand? There are 774 local governments carved out in Nigeria by a military fiat. There was nowhere there was plebiscite to be able to consultation. And one zone, geopolitical zone called Northwest, has 188 local governments. The Southeast zone, which is dominated by Igbo by a population of about 99.9%, has only 95 local governments. What is the implication? These local governments are factors for revenue allocation. So when federal revenue is shared, there is a percentage given to local government on a quality of local governments. So if Northwest will get 188 portions, we will get 95. If you check that from the time this injustice started, we've lost trillions of naira in terms of revenue that would have accrued to Southeast. You can go a little further and say, look at today. Because I remember we were complaining that the late President Buhari was nepotistic, yes, this and that. But today, I said that President Tinubu has proved that President Buhari was a learner in nepotism. Because the South Ogun State alone has 5 very powerful ministers. Ogun State. The whole of the Southeast has 5. In other words, the whole of the 5 states in the Southeast, in terms of ministerial allocation, they are equal to one state in the
Southwest.
And in that our 5, only 2 are substantive ministers: Minister of Works and Minister of Science and Technology. The other 3, who are also our daughters, women, are all ministers of state. In the Nigeria of today, Southeast has the highest number of women ministers. I mean, it's okay that women are capable. They are also very capable, no doubt about that. But you can see the mindset of those who are appointing these things. You can, if there are things you say, I will say here, some people will get unnecessarily inflamed. So we said no. This voters card that we take for granted is our weapon. This voters card is more potent than the AK-47 that some people wield around. Some people talk about referendum. Our young men, you see them, referendum, one referendum. You don't also know that if there is a referendum and you don't have a voters card, you will not participate. But you see them say, we are not Nigerians, we will not register. But see, at the same time, they are calling for a referendum. If there is a referendum today, you will not participate because it is that voters card that will be used to vote and show that you are of age, capable of deciding where you belong and where you will not belong. So this is not a thing that a political party can handle.
Now, Rogers.
Checkwas.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
No, it's okay. It happens all the time.
Okay. Now, I have a challenge here.
Yeah.
And my challenge is this: if a government is functional, fair, and is intent on national development, should any group, any section be wanting to develop its own agenda?
No. That is
in other words, this is the outcome of failed governance. Yes,
there's no question about it. And the outcome of certain people refusing to accept that the war has ended. Head of State General Yakubu Gowon, at the end of the war in 1970, came up with a policy of 3 R's: reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. The 3 of them, those 3 R's, none has been observed in its actual meaning. All have been observed in breach. There was also the policy of no victor, no vanquished. Everybody knows who is victor here and who is the vanquished. So if there is this right, citizenship right, that is expected to be in the constitution. But you go to certain states, they say indigenes will pay this, non-indigenes will pay that. For students who are going to school, there are so many policies that have been promoted that you can see that they are targeted at halting the growth of some people. Tell me, in a country that wants to grow economically cannot deliberately abandon the seaport, the coastal seaports, because the revenue from the coastal seaports will always surpass the revenue from oil. But they were deliberately abandoned, making our people who are known to be commercially inclined to go to other climes, either in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, to ply their trade. And that is why there is a congestion in Lagos. I wasn't congestion in Lagos before the war.
No,
because all the ports have been abandoned deliberately. So these policies, even sometimes they hurt themselves while trying to.
But let me do that, because in one other conversation, somebody had raised this matter, and I queried that line of thought, and I said, the government by policy now says states can build, operate, they can develop their own ports, they can develop their own railway, they can in fact develop their own electricity. So it's made it democratic.
I'm not aware that states can develop their ports. All I know is that states can
build their railways,
build their internal railways.
Yes.
And they can also recently, just in fact, it was approved by the Buhari administration, but signed into law by the Tinubu administration in terms of liberalizing the power sector. Otherwise, prior to how many years ago, Nigerian power infrastructure, structure,
a single national grid.
Yes, under a single national grid. And when power is fed into that grid, they distribute it to the areas. The areas they think they are more needed, and all of that. But today, that has changed. But these changes are too gradual for a race as restless as the Igbo race to develop, to grow. So now we have a Southeast Development Commission, which came rather late, but it's never late, because people are still growing up and going. But the moment that of the Southeast came, every other zone wanted one, and today there are 6 development commissions. Even the South that has the NDDC also has its own commission. I am not bothered about that, because I am confident that the people we have in our SE, the Southeast Development Commission, are so switched on. I am so impressed with what I noticed they are doing already, that the investment they will attract, they will very soon become the model for other commissions to go and learn on how to develop independent of government.
In the course of this conversation, you said something, that God helps those who help themselves.
Now the general saying is in the scriptures.
Thank you. Those you are trying to aggregate, to begin to think for themselves.
Yes.
You described them as Republican.
Yes.
Restless.
Yes.
Chief Chekwas.
Yes.
How are you going to aggregate these Jews who will always curse Jehovah today? When they suffer, they remember him.
The signs are so very encouraging. When we started this, of course, in all the things, all my interventions in Igbo-related matter, I've always had single-mindedness of purpose. It does not matter how I am initially distracted or even described, but at the end of the day, they still come around and say, "Oh, you've done it." So, with that, we decided to invite just about 50 well-selected people across parties, across professions, across the various associations that Igbo people, that 50 will be enough to get the necessary consent and go forward. But as we are today, more than 152 have listed to attend, whereas we hired a hall that will only accommodate 50. So we are now trying to see how to increase the number of the capacity of hall by bringing in more seats and cramming it up as much as possible, since we can't change the venue now. It's too late. It's the next week, Wednesday, this will happen. So that excitement that our people have shown has given us so much inspiration and encouragement. And we are now going ahead after this to do a second one that will be more expanded, where the relevant committees will be set up, that will now dovetail to the summit that will come up in ENUGU sometime early January. Now, to wield this together, yes, it may appear an impossible task. But like I said, Igbo people have their associations. God gave us the network of town unions, market associations, professional bodies, even political parties. There are 18 political parties today. More than half of them are led by Igbo people. So all of these things allow them to enjoy their independence. Don't tamper with what they are doing, but bring their leaders, 2 or 3 per each of the organizations, to come into the IAD, where we will all sit down, incubate, and brew the ideas and sell to our association down to the grassroots. Because with the unions, we will get to every citizen. Once that is done, we will be moving forward. Nothing will be the same anymore. There has never been a central board, and let me tell you what we are going to end up with. Just like we talked about electricity grid, we are going to have an Igbo grid. And once you activate that grid, whether you are at home or abroad, everybody will fall in line on his own. You don't do anything with Igbo by force. No. You must use the power of conviction. And once we have already started the process, there is no longer going back. And there is no, what we want to do is that whosoever will be a presidential candidate of any party in this country, be he our son or daughter, not to talk of another person, must enter into an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with us. Tell us what, if you get our support, what we should be expecting, not what an individual. We are not, yes, we will get appointment like others, but what is that federal presence? Do you know, for 16 years PDP was in power, there was not a single federal presence in the whole of the Southeast. 16 good years. Yet Igbo people invested 100% of their political capital in PDP. Because nobody sat the PDP down to say, without this MOU, we are not going to go with you. There is no guarantee that even if we put our son, he becomes president, he will not be busy fearing what the other people will say. So that MOU is not limited to others, even our own people. And once we are satisfied, we'll make it public. It's not a negotiation of checkers with anybody. It will be on our communication platforms. Igbo people will know this is the reason we are going to go this way. And wherever we go, the person wins. There is no person we collectively say we are supporting that we lose the election in Nigeria. Because we have the spread, we have the number. And we have, when that purpose is one. When you talk of insecurity in our place, you need to let our people know that the AK-47 is no, in modern warfare, it is just like catapult. So don't carry it, means nothing. Those who are fighting may come with something superior and wipe you out. So why not use that which God has given you to get your liberation, to get your self-determination, to get your freedom, and that is your voter's card. It's part of what we are going to do.
Now, I think it's Oliver Dikokwe who sang a song and said, "Even not born, are you determining even by Ndibo. For those of us who don't understand Igbo, are you synthesizing the content of this agenda?
Yes, we are going to, for instance, as we have started now, we're also looking at eggheads, those who have experience in so many areas, and we have them in abundance, in commerce, in economics, in finance, in culture, and so on. And we bring them together. It is our expectation that by the summit of January, we will be launching the Igbo Charter. It will be the Igbo Charter, and that will be like the Chinese Red Book, and that charter will determine our relationship, our engagement, our stay or not stay in this country economy. But we have no business leaving Nigeria. Let me make that very clear, because we can talk about some ethnic groups that we know when they migrated to Nigeria, but no historian, no matter how hard he has researched, can tell you that Igbo people were not originally
people of
from here. We didn't migrate from anywhere.
My grandfather used to say to us, I sprouted from this ground.
I went to myself, Chekwa Sokori, in 2000, the year 2000, and I was a special guest of honor to the Igbo Day in Zamfara State in Guzo. And normally, as I visit all these places outside Igbo land, I will go a day or two before to be able to understand how our people are living and relating. It was in that trip that I found that a place called Northern Guzo in Zamfara, present-day Zamfara State, had Igbo people who had resided there for 400 years. 2000, the year 2000, that was at the height of Sharia. What does that tell you? In this Uthman Tamfodo that brought jihad into Nigeria came into Sokoto in 1804. About 200 years after Igbo people were already in Guzo. So why would such a person claim indigenship in Nigeria more than us? We are talking about Guzo. We are not talking about our home base where we had been there, we didn't migrate from anywhere to anywhere. So when you talk about wanting to live, it is something that will also require some political education for our people to know that who are you leaving the place for?
You are the owner of this land.
The people who should live are staying, and you who should stay want to live.
To where?
So to where in particular? To where? And the number we have in Nigeria, if we say half that number return to Alibo, we will kill ourselves because there's no space. The land space is not there.
Let me even let me raise another conversation. One of the issues current generation is engaged in is Akuruulo. In other words, let us develop our homeland.
That's right.
But I'm going to make what will sound like a scandalous statement.
Go ahead.
And that is, where are the real Igbo? A young man was born in Lagos. He was there in Lagos, his father died. He married in Lagos, has gotten kids in Lagos. Replicate what I've said to Kano, to Kaduna, to this Zamfara you mentioned,
yes,
to all parts of the world.
Yes.
Will those people, culturally, in terms of worldview, in terms of values, can they really call themselves Igbo?
Yes, every they will call themselves
Consider
Igbo.
it.
No, yes, they will call themselves Igbo, because you see, you are Igbo before you can be a citizen of Lagos, can be a citizen of Zamfara. That does not remove the originality. You have an origin that is not in doubt. Not even in America, the blacks don't say that they don't have where they are coming from. The
Jews themselves.
The Jews themselves. That's why there's a the Jewish League is made of very powerful people who don't reside in Israel. and they are the ones that determine even the flow of power in the US and other things. And that's why I said IAD is going to be developed along the line of the Jewish League. But in Nigeria, regarding what you just raised,
yes,
it is the citizenship right that some of us have been fighting for. And when we have our strong voice in government, in the way things are done, when we make ourselves the determinant factor in political power equation in Nigeria, we can then insist and have entered into our statute more enforceable citizenship right, which means wherever you are, you enjoy all
those
your
rights.
citizenship right. But that will never remove your Igbo identity. And let me use this opportunity. For instance, let me also say before I even go there, if we had been united the way we are envisaging it now, no, there's no way Nnamdi Kanu will remain in detention till now. Because it boils down to the same thing I said even when we had not started this interview. That my father said that if you are not loved, you must be feared. If somebody doesn't love you and also doesn't fear you, what you may do if you get angry, then you are useless. And that is for an individual. And then a race that is neither loved nor feared or respected is not worthy to be called a race. So we want to restore our dignity, our right, our aura of being respected. This is where we are going. The President General, the current President General for Ohanese, Senator Mbata, in Ohanese summit, because I said we haven't had a political summit, yeah, but Ohanese has always said, one of our recent Ohanese summit held on the 4th of June this year, he made a profound, and that summit was done by Zoom. So our diaspora people linked up. He made a profound statement that resonated across the world on the spot. He said, and it was in his welcome address, he said, for as long as Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention, it is the entire Igbo nation that is in detention. It resonated. There was prolonged ovation. But then, having that one had died, how many people were there to even know that something like that was said? But now we are going to actualize those things. You can't even come and tell us you want our vote if you have the power to release Nnamdi Kanu and he's still there. How will you come to us to say you want our vote? You have to call us. Remember that we are the ones who are there. So if you want our vote, do the right thing now, not tomorrow. Not when the campaign has started. Get them out. Then we begin from there.
You are about to tell me something before you digressed.
Yes, I was about to tell you that in this country, now called Nigeria, we have supported everybody else other than ourselves to get power. In 2011, we gave President Jonathan over 7 million votes. That's our next record. To win. Because he didn't do anything for Igbo, but there was no memorandum of understanding anyway, but he took our votes for granted. In 2015, he had about 3 million from the people that gave him 7 million
earlier.
And President Buhari defeated him by 2.5 million. Which means if Igbo people had given him what they gave him in 2011, he would have remained as president. Now, 2023, this just last election. Before that election, the total number of registered voters in the South is 11.5 million. INEC record I'm talking can be verified. But how many votes did our people cast? Less than 2 million votes in all. Peter Obi won 88% of the votes. But that 88% amounted to only 1.8 million votes. I shed tears when I looked at the figures. I said that will not happen again. You see, the aggregate of the votes whether you distributed among 3 Senate presidential candidates or whatever, the aggregate of the votes coming from the Southeast underscores your political strength and value. So we must not sit back and not participate in the process that brings about power and come back to say we have not gotten our fair share. It's a lot of work, but it must be done for as long as some of us are alive, and many young people are keying into it, even without starting. So I'm so optimistic that we're on the right path.
Okay, I'm going to come back to those keying into it and the quality of those participating, because I know that our people have a way of, has this person spoken, and therefore is that serious? Are we going to go in? Can we trust them? But that will be after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. I'm still in the studio here from the ENUGU, from the Abuja Center, with my guest, Chief Chekwas Okorie, who is the convener of the Igbo Agenda Dialogue. Chekwas.
Yes.
There is a tree in our place called Otere. That the trunk is used for carving musical instruments.
Yes.
But under certain conditions, the tree will begin to die progressively. And that people say, what is killing the Otere is right at the base of Otere.
Yes.
The Igbo are described as, I'm using too many words.
Yes, no, it's not.
The Igbo are described as ekwe ekwe. In other words, they even counter themselves. The challenge of intra-Igbo countering these efforts, I'm sure that should be staring you in the face. You founded the party before. You know the up mountain, not uphill task of founding a party. You are now dealing with the same people. How are you going to ride over this Igbo?
Well, that is a major factor that can frighten or discourage the lily-livered. But luckily, God has not given me lily liver. He has given me liver. And so I do not allow those kind of setback. I can say from what you say that I'm also a victim. In fact, a serial victim of internal sabotage. But that will not stop us from moving ahead. Because when you look back, when Dr. Zikiwe was there in for forefront, he came into NCNC as secretary, general secretary, that's the title there. General secretary of NCNC. Wasn't the, what we call national chairman now, he used to be called president. He wasn't the president of the party, NCNC. But he went and got the Igbo State Union, convinced them to key into the NCNC. But before you can snap your finger, NCNC had become an Igbo party. It was not difficult for Igbo to mobilize around Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in Second Republic when he belatedly joined the NPP, because he noticed that most of our leaders whom he thought were going to take over from him were busy fighting each other on who will become the vice presidential candidate of other parties. I remember of the 6 parties that time, Igbo people were running mate of 5. So he came into NPP. Because of his stature, Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim, who founded the party, said no, he was not going to struggle for leadership with Dr. Zikiwe. He went and founded the GMPP, and that was how he founded 2 parties in his lifetime. Now, what I'm saying is that leadership, trusted leadership, can do it for us. Zik provided leadership, and in identifying Okpara, who was our own Awolowo and our own Amadu Bello, he did not go to Onitsha to look for one where he comes from or where he came from. He did not go to Nnewi to look for one. He saw that quality in Okpara from Umuahia, present Abia State, and propped him up to take that position, and he did not disappoint. So it's just being able to look beyond what is now eating us up. Family affair, community affair, and this state creation thing, is it from Abia, where it must it come from Abia, and all of that. You see, we are going to overcome that, and this is part of what we have set out to do. And once what we have set out to do gains ground, it also affects leadership recruitment at the level of councillorship. Because what we see today is that the governor will go and make a councillor out of a murderer, or somebody who only credentials was that he carried ballot boxes for him. And this person, who inherently is anti-social, will become the first citizen of his council area, and his wife will become the first lady of the council area. And this and he'll be riding roughshod over even the traditional institution in his place. These are the values. But I can tell you, Ohaneze is doing a lot along that line. But on the political side, this is where IAD comes in. So there must be this synergy. It will not be solved overnight, but we have to start, and we have started. And you see people who will change on their own and get other people to change. I think within our lifetime, we will see a new Igbo. We will see a new Igbo. You talked about developing our place.
Yes.
I tell you that once we get to resolve, and it's part of what we are going to resolve, ease of doing business in Igbo land. Not only Igbo people, other foreign investors will find in Igbo land a veritable place for investment. But how can you come and attract even foreign investors to Igbo land? You get a piece of land, it will take you 1 year to get certificate of occupancy, and within that same time, the people, the investors you have brought, have lost confidence and gone. So these are things that must be addressed holistically. Then the other aspect that the INEC will help us to do, whether they help Nigeria to solve, not just Igbo, is to ensure that people's vote count. And they show all the technology to do that are already available. There. All you need to do is to apply it and insist on its outcome. And then whatever we are doing will also...
Let me get out of Igbo land. Why I asked you this intra-Igbo challenge is because of the proverb, the anecdote I just gave you. But there are also other interests, naturally, who will feel uncomfortable when they start aggregating, and who could use some of us to also sabotage what they are doing. How are you going to manage the external factor? And let me tell you a story I heard, which I cannot authenticate, that indeed Ohaneze Ndigbo was not even an Igbo creation.
It was.
I want to stop there. You are the authority. You said
it was.
Thank you. But address the external factor.
Well, the issue of external factor, let me tell you that if the external factor comes in when there is no internal cohesion. If there is internal cohesion and unity of purpose, that external influence will not even see a leeway to come in. And if he's trying to use our own sons, it will be easily identified and traditionally dealt with appropriately. And some of us have been so battered and become, like I said, myself and many others have become victims of serial internal sabotage. So much so that we have developed the natural antenna to identify the bad ones from a distance. So we know how they come, the color they wear, and the language they speak. So it is our duty to get our people prepared for all of this before God calls us, because we're already winding down.
Sure. You've already hit the biblical 10. I'm looking at my watch. We just have a few minutes more to go.
Yes.
Can you please educate me more on this entire summit? When it's going to take place, where it's going to take place, likely agenda, who is coming?
Very good. First, it will be at ENUGU. As soon as we get done with this, we will get to ENUGU, where our group will pay a visit to, we haven't even applied, but we will do.
Okay.
We'll pay a visit to the governor of ENUGU State, because incidentally, he is the governor of the cradle of Eastern political civilization. So ENUGU is that cradle. So we will go there and discuss with him with regard to venue, and it has to be a very large venue. Then as for those who are coming, all the associations we will identify, we've started that identification. Not social media, not WhatsApp groups. Associations that that take the interest of certain groups, market associations, town unions, professional bodies, and so on, and some individuals in their own right based on their exposure over the years and what they can bring to the table. These are the core people we will bring. Of course, women, the young ones, will also be included. We are looking at a target audience of about 5,000 carefully selected and invited persons whose participation will be strictly by invitation, and who will know that whatever they get out of it, they are taking it to the group where they belong. And then, of course, as I said, the Igbo Charter will be launched at that event and adopted, and they become Igbo people own it. But we don't, it's just not like writing a love letter. And now it's a set of eggheads again. We come together and articulate all of these things and much more than I have said here into that charter, so that it will be seen that it's a thorough thing that will bind us together and define our relationship with the rest of Nigeria. And if you are going into politics and you are going to any party and you are Igbo, you must bear in mind there are certain basic expectations expected of you, including moral standard. You can't go there and loot government money and expect that when you are arrested and sent into jail, you will be looking at IAD to come for you. No.
Now the Abuja,
and then we will also establish that when one Igbo man, and by Igbo man here I mean the Igbo of Delta, Edo, Benue, Kogi, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, and then of course
the Igbo
Abia, Imo, and the rest. That these are the where Igbo people have been scattered, or indigenous Igbo. So we will also establish the fact that when one Igbo is attacked, all Igbo are attacked. So it will be a matter of one for all for one.
The Abuja meeting, is it open to the public?
No,
it's not.
Yes,
it's a consultative meeting.
Yes, a consultative meeting.
Setting the agenda, getting prepared for the
main event. And there will be a second one, perhaps in Abuja again, where these committees that will do the basic things will be set up to start work on the January 1. And after January, the Secretariat will be in ENUGU. And then offices can spring. There will also be a satellite secretariat in Abuja because of the strategic nature of Abuja. And this thing will continue from year to year till we are done. It will outlive us. It will become, before you know it, schools will add in their curriculum what used to be called civics in our days.
Yes,
so that our children will start from primary school,
knowing who they
are, what their interests, their identity, and what is expected of them.
Well, in the past 57 minutes, really, 58 minutes, I've been speaking with Dr. Chekwas Okorie, founder of the All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA ABGA, convener of the Igbo Agenda Dialogue. 57 minutes of interesting conversation. Maybe beyond the red cap and the white cap and the beads will establish who we are. Chekwas, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, collectively, let's thank him for coming here today, a rather cold Friday morning in Abuja. And thank you for investing your time with us. This conversation continues on Monday. Good morning.
When we had opportunity of participating during the midwifing of the two political parties by the military, they gave us logistics, they gave us offices, they also provided transportation, and they also funded the parties. So the only problem that we were manifesting was the issue of the money bags, those who will be influencing the electoral process. So after that regime, it was an open field for people, because looking at our electoral system, the American presidential system is a very corrupt political regime, because the constituencies are larger and the process of selection of the candidates is also very cumbersome, that the parties were managed by people who have no vision of what democracy is all about. They think it's all issue of money and money and money and deployment of the money to produce better results. So if you look at who are the bureaucrats, who are those managing the parties in Nigeria, the people managing the parties don't even know what building a political structure means. They think is just staying in office. I had the minister of FCT saying that the PDP were able to sell, form, and made about close to 14 billion naira, but they couldn't pay ground rent for their property of 7 million. So that shows you the reckless. The party system here is from top to bottom. It's not from bottom to top. The party system we are practicing is not the way the American presidential system run in the United States. So there's no idea. It's all about money, money, and money. So how do you, the average earning of the top civil servants in Nigeria, for you to earn 3 or 4 million naira a year, and somebody will pay 50 million to buy for? Politics is based on constituency interest. It's not based purely on the platform you're running. That will also have some tribute to your success. Let us look at the 3 candidates. 1, where do they come from in Anambra State? Soludo comes from Isofia. He has only 1 ward in his political parish. the Okachukwu, his constituency has about 2 wards coming from the neighboring town in Nnewi. So then the man from Nnewi, who is Dr. Moralo, has close to 20 wards in his primary constituency. Then look at the local government distribution. Soludo comes from Old Agwata, which are 3 local governments. Moralo and Okachukwu, Dr. Okachukwu, are sharing 4 local governments within themselves. Now, Anambra is a place where most of the politicians have no constituency. You have to have a constituency. Where do you think your votes will come from? Is it the youth? Is it the intellectual group? Is it the working class? Is it those who you feel that can do mobilization? Soludo is a governor in Anambra State with less than 115,000 votes, where the registration is about 1.8 million.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Senator, it means that those who are saying that these protests are being sponsored by political interests, in fact, the truth may be that they are off the mark, and that if they are not on target, they may not know when the tide changes. Do you think, because you've said that some of these youths are in the street not representing any political interests, they are out in the street protesting what they think is not right for them and from their nation, is that to say really that there are no political interests involved?
Well, everyone has political interests, but the interest which these young people have is the interest of their future that has been destroyed by people who are in a position of power. From the president to the ministers to the governors, all of them, 98% of them attended public schools from primary, secondary to university level, paying almost nothing. Now go to a typical primary and secondary school in your locality and see how it has been destroyed over the years, simply because people in the position of power have the resources that they have accrued from the national treasury to take their children and give them the best of education in any part of the world. Keep that aside. 98% of people in the position of power, their mother either gave birth to them in their homes or in public hospitals. Because in the last 40, 50, 60 years, how many private hospitals do we have in Nigeria? But now go to a typical private hospital, public hospital, and see what you have there. Recently, I was in Bauchi. I was invited for an event. And then the head of a public school was delivering a speech. And he said, government can no more build hostels. Government can no more give scholarships. So what can government do? You attended a public university, lived in a public hostel, and now you find yourself in a position of power. You cannot build more hostels for the generation that succeeded you. You went to public school and was given a scholarship by your state government, and you are in a position of power. You cannot give scholarship to the children of the poor. Now, you cannot build a nation when you rob Peter to pay Paul. If the system is that of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then they should only expect patriotism from Paul, not from Peter. So if this country will experience peace and stability, then we must ensure social justice and equity. And these teeming young people who are sitting down, we don't know. This is a cake of gunpowder. This is a time bomb for our country. If you think that because you have 4 or 5 children that you have educated well and then you don't care. But those your children, which country are they going to live in? They're still going to live in this country here. And I've said it repeatedly that if we want Nigeria to work, then we must all be given that sense of belonging. Yes, I belong to Nigeria. Whatever part of the country I come from, I can be seen to be like any other person from any part of the country. But you can see what is happening today. The only job that needs no connection for you to get is the army, because of bandits in the northwest and the Boko Haram in the northeast. If you apply to the army, the Air Force, and the Navy, they will happily employ you because you are going to go and fight. But some of the most prestigious jobs in government are being occupied by people in the position of authority. And this cuts across the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And will these young people whose future has been destroyed, will they simply fold their arms and see? Look at what is happening. When a marriage is taking place, it is the daughter of Emir A getting married to the minister, the son of Minister B, or the daughter of Senator A getting married to the son of Governor B. Because you can see they are even creating a dynasty of privilege, while you and your children, the poor ones here, are being consigned to a dynasty of poverty and want. So I believe that if Nigeria has to work, we must entrench social justice. Continue to reform the police. If you like, make every police a saint, it does not matter. Once the wealth of this country is in the hands of few people, every 2-3 years they bring a list. Hey, this person, Alaji this, he has this oil well. Chief Dad, he has this oil well. They are just sharing everything for themselves. They share contracts, they share oil well, they share procurement, they share everything. They even share their daughters and their sons to themselves. So the question is that these frustrated young people have nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Now, you tell them to vote, they voted, and the person they voted with the hope of change is worse than the one they removed. This is what's happening in Nigeria today. And the preoccupation is that we are fighting corruption. Okay, we're fighting corruption, and then it comes to the point. Some few years ago, the president was in Dubai and said he was going to bring the list of Nigerians who have properties in Dubai. That nobody heard of that again. They said Nigerians have bought a lot of properties in London. They are going to publish the list of that. No list came out, because by the time you are a president and you are given list, and you saw that 40 or 50% of people in that list are your loyalists and the other 50 are your critics, you have two options. Either to publish everything, point blank, or you simply just cool off. And this is what is happening. So now, when you have this kind of country that serves very few, the youth must protest. In fact, it is a sin to stop this protest. This protest should continue until the Nigerian political establishment learn its lessons. So it's not with the police. The police is not simply the issue. And even this police reform, they have been talking about it for the last... I read a young man in the social media. He said he's been hearing of this police reform since 2015. I said I have been hearing about it since 1980, when Sunday Adewusi was the IG of police. So you can see, that's about 40 years. So it is now, when people are on the street, that they want to reform the police. Which reform are you reforming the police for, if I can use that language? Look at their barracks. See Falomo. Whichever state you come from, just walk into police barrack and see. In the last 20 to 30 to 40 years, there is nothing significantly that has changed as far as Nigerian police is concerned. The only noticeable change, I think it happened during Hindoro's time, where their uniform was changed from complete black to the one they have a gray and a black. Apart from that, nothing. The police still remains the same. And whether, even if you have changed them, that will not change anything. Police are not the governors. Police are not the legislatures. Police are not the ministers. They represent They protect a class. They protect a class, and that class is the problem of Nigeria.
Distinguished Senator, let us head into a different issue that we think is also of concern to this country. I'm sure that you know of the World United Nations report, which positioned Nigeria about 2 years ago or 3 as the poverty capital of the world. Permit me to rephrase that report. It might be true if Nigeria is taken as a basket, as a single basket. But the fact is that all the indices used by the UN to arrive at that report played out fully in northern Nigeria. I might therefore safely suggest that indeed northern Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Do you believe that, like what happened in 1945 at the end of the Second World War, that northern Nigeria needs a Nigerian model of Marshall Plan to be able to help it out of this poverty? Will you agree to play the politics that does not need partisanship but requires national understanding for this nation to aggregate resources in our own enlightened self-interest to solve the poverty challenge in northern Nigeria?
Thank you for this question. Well, first and foremost, I have problem accepting that statistics that the North is the poverty capital of the world. I don't think that is correct, because I've been to countries, many countries in Africa. I've seen the poverty in Niger Republic, in Chad, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Uganda, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi. I don't think that this is true, but we can see that the north is poorer than the southern part of Nigeria. But before I continue also, I think the South should not deceive themselves, always taking the narrative that North is poorer than the South, because the poor people that are in the South are simply being marginalized. And the picture that is being given is that the South is, everybody in the South is rich and everyone in the North is poor, which is not true. Poverty is in all parts of Nigeria, from Calabar to Ibadan, everywhere. But there are different kinds of poverty. The poverty that we are talking about in the North is the one in which the region has the resources to be better than it is now, but it has by itself become the problem of itself. For the 60 years of our political independence, many of those that have held political offices, the highest office in the land, are from northern Nigeria. And they had the opportunity to develop the agricultural base of the North, explore the mineral resources of the North, upgrade its educational standard, and industrialize the region. If the foresight and the dreams of the likes of Sadona of Sokoto and Aminu Kano was the compass for development of northern Nigeria, we could not have been where we are today. But over the years, we have had leaders who have not just destroyed the North, but are also retarded the development of the southern part of Nigeria. Where did we get this wrong? You see, the political establishment in the North have capitalized on the ignorance of the people, manipulate them using sectionalism, religion and ethnicity, and build a wall of defense and solidarity around themselves. and made it impossible for the people to use their sense of reasoning and question power. It is our own that is in power. We must protect him. We must preserve him. We must support him. And as such, if you have that kind of insurance, you don't need to perform. You don't need to deliver, because your position and seat is guaranteed by a sentiment, by a prejudice, which you have built over the years. So religion and ethnicity has been used to enslave the people in the North and deny them the capacity and the ability and the right to question power when it goes wrong. So, the poor, the northern poor, have not benefited from the wealth of the Nigerian state. I have not seen, out of every 10 poor people in the north, 9.5 will not tell you, don't know the name of the person in his state that has an oil wealth in Niger Delta. They don't know. So they live by struggle and survival, but because their own thinking and conscience is being controlled by a sentiment, so it becomes impossible for them to question those in the position of authority. That is why you will see that it is most likely a typical northerner can come out to the street and protest on religious and sectional issues than on issues that borders on his life, on his survival, and that of his family, and that of his children. When you have an uprising against a government, let's say on issue of fuel price increase, it is so easy to convince a northerner not to come out and protest, because the protest is coming from the south and is done against the president, who is his brother and who is someone that comes from his own religion or section.
No matter how he suffers from the policy.
No matter how. So this is how it is. So the political elites there have used this as a weapon to clamp the people down and keep them in their own perpetual servitude and control. It is only, and why it has been so is because of what became of the politics of northern Nigeria right from the First Republic to date. There are two political spectrums in northern Nigeria: the revolutionary socialist side of Aminu Kano and the conservative side of Sardauna of Sokoto. And it is the conservative side that produced the first leadership and control the affairs of the state. So the thinking, the ideological thinking of those leaders of that time usually vibrates within their own followers. That is why the people from the southwest, you can see their thinking, their ideological bent and thinking and horizon is from that of Awolowo, even though you have some dissent. And that of the southeast are of a pan-Nigerian outlook, though the southeast are divided into two. There are those who think like Zik and those who think like Ojukwu. Now, in the general context, I'm trying to show you that the North can be one of the most prosperous part of Nigeria and the whole of West Africa if a number of things is done. First of all, the immediate issue is to address the problem of terrorism and extremism. And this extremism is not simply about members of Boko Haram or the Shiite, as people will say. A simple comment on social media you can detect extremists and fanatics. There are so many of them. Second issue is education. The need to invest in education in the north, upgrade public education system, get more people in school and make it possible for them to read and write and be able to challenge authority. The third aspect is investment in agriculture and soil mineral resources. If those two areas have serious investment, the north now can even be more prosperous than the south. Because if you are to divide the land space in Nigeria, 70% of Nigeria's land is northern Nigeria. It's 30% that is southeast and southwest and south-south. Now with such land, and there is no part of this country where you cannot plant a corn and for it to germinate. So the poverty, the penury and the destitution in northern Nigeria is self-inflicted, and it has become a weapon that is being used by the political establishment in northern Nigeria to control people. And by doing that, they are retarding the progress of the country. The solution to it is the need to restructure this country so that we don't again wait for free money coming from oil from Niger Delta. We all now have to think inward. What do we do? What should we do to make money? You can grow corn in Sokoto, you can grow corn in Katsina, you can grow corn in Zamfara, you can grow corn in Kaduna State. Why can't we grow corn and supply to Kellogg's in Europe or United States for cornflakes? So we need a leadership, not the kind of leadership we are having today. We need a leadership with a vision. When I say leadership with a vision, I mean a leadership that has a manual of what to do with power. When Murtala Muhammad came, he ruled Nigeria for 6 months. But before he assumes office, he already has a template of what to do.
So because he also believed in the left, intellectual left.
Yes. So he knows the problem. And then you come into office in 2015. We spent about 4 to 5 months without ministers. Some of the programs that ought to have been done in the first tenure have been done now. And we keep on piling debt upon debt. We are reaching a point that we are going back to where we come from in 2004. A Nigerian leader we need is one that is pan-Nigerian. One that does not see himself as a southerner or northerner. One whose major focus is development and prosperity, progress and future of Nigeria. One that will restructure this country and make it possible for all parts of the country to contribute to national development. So I believe that we cannot achieve this without having the kind of desired leaders we have. But most people we elect into office either people that reflect our ethnic, religious, or sectional interests or sentiment. And that is not going to be of use to Nigeria of 21st century.
Well, you're watching the Signature Show on AIT. We'll take a break now, and when we return, 2 more interesting issues we'll discuss with Senator Sani. Stay with us.
This is Signaturetv.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. Signaturetv.org. News in your pocket.
Well, let me welcome you back. Distinguished Senator, Permit me to return to the matter of poverty. If you walk Nigerian streets in Abuja, in Kano, in Jos, in Katsina, you'll be confronted with the sight of Nigerians begging. It's not just begging. Young people, 3 years, 5 years, who seem to live their lives in the street. Some derisively say they are born in the street and they grow up in the street. And majority of them are from northern Nigeria. I don't have the exact statistics, but preponderantly, these beggars are Hausas. You can hardly find an idle or unemployed Fulani person. You can hardly find a Fulani woman who is begging. You can hardly find an unemployed Fulani person. You find them as mayors, you find them as district head, you find them as intellectuals, PhDs, ministers, permanent secretaries, well-off Nigerians. Why is it that it is the Hausa person in northern Nigeria who begs?
Well, I think this is a question which we try to ask ourselves. For those of us who are Hausa Fulani.
Let me interrupt you.
Yes.
Is there any ethnic group in Nigeria called Hausa Fulani?
Yeah, when they said Hausa Fulani, it means that part of your family is Hausa and part is Fulani. We have people who are purely Hausas and we have people who are purely Fulanis. And when you have, maybe your mother is Fulani, your father is Hausa, then you have to say Hausa Fulani. So it is, to my own thinking, that is how it's supposed to be. But now, the general identity of people in northern Nigeria, or most people know that, is going to be Hausa Fulani, in order to make sure that both two ethnic groups are represented. But they are distinctive ethnic groups. Fulani have their language and culture, and the Hausas also have their language and culture separate from, but they are all brought together by history and by religion, and the fact that for centuries intermarriages have made it possible for beautiful Fulanis to also share part of their beauty and handsomeness to the Hausas. So that is why you will see that Hausas are purely African and stockish Africans. But in Fulanis, you can see some Asiatic features in them. So this is just the difference. So back to your question now, I will say that the idea of begging by the Hausas come from a particular religious sect within Islam in the north that has no issues with begging and simply even indirectly endorses it. And let me tell you in layman term how you can understand here. Just like in Christendom, you have the Catholics, the Presbyterians, the different denominations you have. So also in Islam, you have the Sunni, you have the Shiite, you have the Tijaniya, the Tariqa, and others. So the sect which the Hausas, the religious sect, that Islamic religious sect that dominates Hausa land, the clerical establishment there now operate what they call madrasas, which is the local Islamic school, where you send your child from one part of the country to another to go and learn. And if the teacher naturally has no job doing other than teaching them, And now he sends the children to go and beg, and then by begging, they give him some part of the money, and also they keep the money for themselves. So that religious sect within Islam endorses the begging culture, and then it also dominates Hausa land. But with the expansion of the Sunni, and then people like late Sheikh Abubakar Muhammad Gumi, by his sermons, by his preaching, he now tried to did everything within his lifetime to show how un-Islamic it was for people to beg. Then they now set up modern schools. It's going to be like, the schools are like our own Western schools, but they purely teach Islamic. And he also prescribed that children should go to school with their own parents. So why houses beg has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and they also support that. And Fulanis are not within that religious sect. The jihad of Damfodio in the early 1800s was founded not just, it wasn't about converting idol worshippers to Islam, but it's also about purifying Islam from un-Islamic practices. And that is why they embark on a war. And in most Hausa lands today, the emirs are Fulanis as a result of that war. And in Bidda, they are Nupes, but the emir, the Ezunupe, are Fulanis. In Kano, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Zaria, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Gombe, in everywhere except in Borno area, where they have an empire that was able to counter the Fulani jihadis at that very time here, and then preserve its own territory. So why Hausas beg simply has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and it encourages that. But now things are changing.
Now things are changing. Distinguished Senator, let me ask you, is the Hausa person a landless Nigerian?
It cannot be a landless Nigeria because he has the largest expanse of land in Nigeria.
Is he in control of his land?
He is in full control, even invading other lands that are not Hausas.
Why I ask the question is this.
Yes.
I understand, please educate me if I'm wrong, that this land that is supposed to be for the Hausa population, the indigenous Hausa person, are indeed in the control of the emirs. Am I right?
Well, before the coming of colonialists, the emirs have a very strong authority over land matters. But with the defeat of the Sokoto Caliphate and also the full colonization of Nigeria, laws are made and the powers of the emirs were seriously reduced. And now governors control the land, and though some land still, the emirs have some authority over them, but still land is about the control of governors. So it's not, it used to be that, but now it is not the case.
Now, why I'm asking the question, there has been this conversation that one of the reasons why the Hausa person begs, apart from religion, is because he is a dispossessed person and has no heritage to the land. And there's no system that apportions him freely land to work on.
No, it's not true. If you look at the whole of the southeastern part of Nigeria, it can fit into 2 states in northern Nigeria. And the lands belong to Hausa people. So they can farm. I can tell you that the negative aspect of it simply has to do with the religious ingredients of it. As far as this begging thing is concerned, you don't see, you hardly see people from the Sunni side who are involved in that. Yeah, it is always from this side, and they felt that it's one of the conflicts that is going on. People from some of these sects still believe that despite being Muslims, but some of our African cultures and tradition need to be preserved. But the other side are saying, if you are a Muslim, you should be a Muslim, and there should be no bringing impurities into it. So this is it. Apart from that, it's not about land, and because you can have a family that has a land and a farm that will leave that land and sell their children to as far as Yobe State or Adamawa State to go there and learn the Quran. But they don't have job to do there and they have to beg. And so it is something that for years northern leaders have not really taken it seriously. And not just seriously, they were afraid of confronting that religious establishment that promotes, propagates, and supports the culture of begging.
Distinguished Senator, let me take you now over to an issue you were once a champion of. Can I begin it this way? Can Nigeria shoot its way with the boots and the guns? Can Nigeria shoot its way out of the present challenge of insecurity? Or is there a need for either outright paradigm shift or a combination of options?
Well, the part of the country that faces the most serious challenge to peace and order is northern part of Nigeria. In the northwest, particularly in the states of Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, and part of Niger State, they are virtually under the control of bandits that have been killing people, kidnapping people. And this wave of kidnapping has seriously destroyed lives and livelihood. Many people couldn't go to farms, and many of them, villagers, have sold their farms and houses to pay ransom to kidnappers. So the poverty there is growing because of the activities of these bandits. And funeral and mourning has become a daily affair in parts of Niger State, Niger East, and in Kaduna State, the whole of southern Kaduna is a danger, and in the central, Igabi, Chukun, Birengwari local government, and Giwa, parts of Giwa local government are under control by bandits. In Katsina, almost 8 local governments are controlled by bandits, and some few local governments in Sokoto State. And in the northeast, you can see that Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe State are still facing the problems of insurgency, terrorists attacking and killing innocent people, attacking sub-targets, unleashing mayhem is the order. And in the north central, Tivis and Jukuns from Taraba and Benue State have been killing each other. An ethnic problem in southern Kaduna and Plateau State is still a problem. Kidnapping in Nasarawa does even reach to parts of Abuja now. So if you put this into context, you will see that this is as a result of the failure of governance to address what needs to be addressed at its budding stage before it rises to this level. If we have a government in the last 10 years that has projected problems of insecurity, we couldn't have been where we are today. And I believe the solution to it now is, first of all, we need to restructure this country and make it possible for people to protect their lands. And then we need to have a modern police and modern army that will exploit technology to fight crimes and criminalities. It is so unfortunate that we spend billions of naira, hundreds of millions of dollars in the name of security. I've seen the 2021 budget. Security is at the highest in terms of allocation. But that has been the case in the last 3 to 4 years. But that has not translated to security and safety for our people. Kidnappers in Kaduna State now after kidnapping a wife or children, they call you with a phone and transact with you, and you take money to them. So where is technology that kidnappers can make calls and get away with it freely? Without phone calls, they can't be able to kidnap or to collect ransom. It's just impossible. So how can you say that a nation like Nigeria, we cannot protect our land? Algeria is 2.5 size of Nigeria, but you can't kidnap any person there and get away with it within the next 48 hours. Why is Nigeria becoming a failing state? Because we are failing. Once the government, the authority, has lost control of its own spaces in terms of ensuring governance and order, then the nation is edging towards being categorized as a failed state. And this is what is happening to our country today.
In other words, we may not get out of this insecurity purely by guns and boots.
There are a lot of things that need to be done.
What are the options?
The use of technology is very important for intelligence gathering and also for actions in terms of taking them out. And then we also need to involve the locals. If you have one local government now that has security challenge and you are recruiting policemen and soldiers, why don't you recruit them from that local government and send them to fight to be able to combat those criminalities? That is very important. And then we also need to secure our borders. Our borders are very porous, and people come in and go out anytime, anyhow, and that need to be well protected in order for us to secure this country. If we don't do that, there is no way that we are going to be free from where we are. You ask yourself, why is it is only in Nigeria that you have kidnapping? You don't have it in Benin Republic, you don't have it in Niger Republic, that are our neighbors. It's only Nigeria. It all has to do with governance and the kind of security. You can't kidnap any person in Niger. Niger is 1.5 size of Nigeria. You cannot kidnap one person without you being detected in the next 48 hours. And the budget of the whole of Niger Republic is no more than the budget of Delta State. And the pay for the police and the army of Niger Republic is almost 20% is what is being paid to the member of Nigerian police or Nigerian army. So it all has to do with, you say, increase their salary, increase this, increase that. You keep on increasing as long as you don't have a leadership that is determined and a security agency that is proactive and that will use technology. And then look at how they do it now. If you are a critic of government, they know how to monitor your calls. And if you are involved in Yahoo, they know money that is transferred to you. But when it comes to the issue of people who are killing innocent Nigerians, they have no clue on what to do about it. So where is the missing link is what we are going to have to ask ourselves and then have answers to.
Distinguished Senator, the earlier part of this submission seems to suggest to me that you could cast your vote for state police?
I have my reservations on state police, but if it's going to be the solution to the problem of Nigeria, so be it. My own issues with state police is that it should not be like state INEX, where the ruling party gets all the tickets, they win all the position, and the governor of the state determines who is the winner. If you give governors control of the police, the major focus is not simply going to be the criminals, but their political opponents. I can't imagine myself in Kaduna State with a governor of Kaduna State in control of the police force. I may have to change the state to another state with my family. No matter what it is, there needs to be some level of control from the federal level. If you have state police in Anambra, somebody like Otto Eze cannot go there and stay. If you have state police in Imo State, Ihedioha and Rochas Okocha cannot go back to their homes. If you have state police in ENUGU state, the opponents of the governor cannot go there. If you have state police in